Does your child love learning about history? If so, I have a few titles right here that I want to give you a peek inside that your child might love. So these are a couple that we have at our house. I've bought several of them for homeschooling next year, but we've been known just to pick them up. So the first one is one of our encyclopedias. Like the others, it's internet linked. You can get it in hardcover or softcover. I just happen to have the softcover one. And when you go through, it has information about everything in history. They can learn about anything they want. They can use the glossary in the back, look up specific topics that they're researching at school, or anything like that. So let me give you an idea of what is in the front. Okay, so this shows you all of the topics that this book covers. The medieval world, the last 500 years, the ancient world. It shows you how this book works, how to use it, the American Revolution. So this one is a great reference book. The second one is 100 Things to Know About History, and this is a really fun one that the boys and I have been enjoying. It is a softcover book. It has tons of facts about things in here that you would not have known about. So a single Polynesian canoe could carry an entire civilization. Can you imagine that? Talks about the most common canoe plants and their uses. The Black Death, how it spread. Shows how it spread across Europe back in the day. The Black Death spread up to 25 miles a day, which is crazy back in the 14th century. That's a long distance. The world's largest hedge. Surviving a nuclear explosion. A peasant became emperor and founded one of China's greatest dynasties. History was invented, the first paper. And one of the favorite ones of my boys so far is this page. So it talks about 2 U.S. presidents were arrested for reckless riding. Talks about 2 presidents kept alligators as pets. Andrew Jackson's parent was known to swear profusely. And did you know that Abraham Lincoln was a noted champion, an avid wrestler, and won all but one of his 300 wrestling matches? So all different kinds of information. It goes through all of the first 40 presidents and talks about all of these different topics and whether or not they relate to them. So my boys got a really big kick out of this stuff, and they just couldn't believe that 2 presidents kept alligators as pets. So this is a really fun book that goes through all different kinds of random facts in history that your children might enjoy. The next one, this is a hardcover book. This is one of our newer ones, and it's called A Short History of the World. And I plan on reading this because I'm sure I'm going to learn a thing or two. So it starts with the ancient world, and then it goes through medieval world to the early modern world to the modern world, and it's also internet linked. So it starts way at the beginning about early civilizations, where they were, how long ago it was, what they looked like, what life was like back then, the story of David versus Goliath. Talks about ancient religion and how they came about. Talks about the Vikings, the Norman conquerors. I need my glasses on. Talks about the early modern world. Talks about Independence Day. So it gives you a very short history of all the things that have happened in the world. So super fun book. This one I specifically got for homeschooling and for me because growing up learning history, I feel like I never knew what things were happening simultaneously. So this is a timeline, which I think is super cool. So it talks first about the ancient world, the Middle Ages, the 16th century, and it goes on through the 20th century. So it'll tell you all of the things that were happening at the same time. So it talks about Europe, the Middle East, Africa, Asia, and the Americas. So during the ancient world, from 10,000 to 2001 BC, these are all the things that were happening simultaneously in all of these different places. So it gives me a better idea of what was happening when. So the Middle Ages, and it's the same on most of the pages, that it goes through all of these different places, what was happening when, who was conquering who, Southern and Western Europe, Northern and Eastern Europe, Africa and the Middle East, Asia and the Americas during the 16th century. Then to the 18th century, it tells you what was invented, who traveled where, who was conquering who, when capitals became, or when certain cities became capitals of different places. The 19th century, the first Benz car, there it is right there, a lift on the Eiffel Tower. So this is a great reference book. We're certainly going to be using it for homeschool come in the fall. And it goes through tons of really cool information, and it'll give your child and you a better idea of what was happening in different parts of the world at the same time. And the last one, this one is called Time Traveler. So visit medieval times, the Viking Age, the Roman world, and ancient Egypt. So this one is also a hardcover book. And this one's kind of fun because it sort of brings your child on an adventure and a journey. So the first stop here is Knights and Castle. So it'll give you an idea of, like, if you were living back then, the types of people you will meet, what it looks like inside the castle walls, what a trip to town might look like. So I'll just show you a few of the pages in here. Journey to a castle. So this is more of a, I mean, it absolutely has facts, but it's more of a story along the way, and it's sort of like you're immersed in that time and lets you know what it would look like, the people that would be around you, what would you be eating, what would it sound like, what would it feel like. So this is one of our newer titles as well. A pharaoh at Pharaoh's court. What the crowns of Egypt looked like. I don't know how they wore those things on their heads. The story of the pharaoh. So this one is Time Traveler. They're the ones that I showed you were very different types of books. I think there's something for everybody, whether you're looking for a short history, if you're looking for an encyclopedia that would give you a great reference book to look things up in, or if you just want something fun with facts and figures, you could have the 100 Things to Know About History, and your child will become an expert at trivia. So if you have any questions about any of these titles, please let me know, and I would be happy to answer anything for you. Have a great day.